Did you know that you can plant the garlic that you buy from the grocery store and you can get your own head of garlic? That's a process that actually takes 6 months. Or if you can't wait that long, in 30 days, you can get fresh green garlic, and I'm gonna show you how. In this chapter, I'm gonna teach you all about what green garlic is and how you can grow and harvest it. I love garlic. I use it a lot in my kitchen. I use it medicinally. Garlic has a lot of health benefits, especially consuming it raw. Sometimes when I have a really bad cold, I'll like swallow a whole clove. It's anti-inflammatory, it's antibacterial. And I also love to grow garlic. You can actually plant garlic and you can get fresh green garlic flavor. So normally, this is what your garlic looks like when you get it from the grocery store, but sometimes, we kind of forget things, and your garlic might look something like this when you get around to it. And if you're really a culinarian, they'll say don't use sprouted garlic because it has a little bit of a bitter taste, but this is actually the perfect garlic to plant because it's already pre-sprouted. Pull apart those cloves, and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna plant that. So you're already halfway there with a sprouted head of garlic. Before we plant this garlic, I definitely want to talk about a few things: sun and nutrients. What does garlic need? Garlic needs full sun, at least 6 to 8 hours, not under a tree, not under your porch overhang, full sun. In terms of soil, you can plant garlic in a bunch of different things. You can plant it in a pot. Make sure you're using potting soil. You can plant in a raised bed like this or any other kind of raised bed, and you can fill that with either really rich, nice loose compost. You can use garden soil or raised bed mix, and you can definitely plant garlic in the ground as well. And we are ready to plant. So let's get planting. This is a garlic head. And when you're planting garlic, you want to break it apart because you are planting individual cloves, right? So we just take a head of garlic and you just break it apart. And you don't need to peel your garlic. You can actually plant it with the main skin on there. There's a blunt end and a pointed tip to each garlic clove, right? See that? All the cloves, big or small, have a blunt end and a pointed tip. You always want to plant the clove pointed tip up, right? This is what's gonna happen. The point at the top is where it's going to sprout. If we plant that upside down, it's gonna have to work that much harder and it's gonna be curving up. All right, so over here, I'm going to make 5 rows, and I just like to use my hand. Just kind of push the soil aside. I'm just opening it up. It's more about the depth. You want to go 2 to 4 inches deep. And it's just opening it wide so I can see what I'm working with. And then once you cover it up, this garlic is really just taking about, a 1/2 inch spacing, right? Okay. Leave the row open. This is where we'll put our sprouted garlic, okay? Pointed tip up, blunt end down, and just push it into the soil. I like to push it in halfway down the cloves just so it's firm in the soil, because once we cover it up, I don't want the heads to fall over when the soil comes over and is covering it up. So I planted 7 cloves of garlic in this row, and then when we're done pushing the garlic in, we just push the soil over into that row, cover it up, press it down, and then you move over. The next row should be about 3 to 4 inches distance apart from that first row. And there are hundreds of varieties of garlic, and they have different characteristics. Some are really good for roasting, so roasted garlic is amazing. Some are really spicy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? I'm pressing the soil gently. We're not compacting. The soil is still loose, but we just want to firm it up around the cloves so that they have good soil contact. And we are done planting our garlic. Now, it is important to mulch your garlic. Today, I'm going to mulch my garlic with wheat straw to keep the soil temperature a little bit cooler and to prevent weeds from taking over my bed. And this is especially important if you're growing in the ground. So we want about 2 inches of straw on top of the garlic. Now, I definitely want to talk to you about watering your garlic, so let me grab the hose. After we plant our garlic, it is important to soak the soil, water it in. We want the water to get as deep as the cloves are in the ground. So remember, we planted them about 2 to 4 inches deep. I think I went around 3 inches deep in this soil. And we have our mulch, so it has to get through the mulch layer and into the soil. So we're gonna be soaking this. You could definitely water before you put the mulch on. You can water on top of the mulch. It doesn't really matter. All right, so we are good with watering. After this initial deep soaking, ongoing watering maintenance may just need to be about once a week. Remember, we have mulched our beds, you mulched your container, you mulched garlic in the ground. If it rained, you probably won't need to water. So just check your soil. You want it a little bit damp, a little moist, not soaking. And that's really it until maybe in 15 days, we'll wait for that garlic to sprout above this soil. It's been 15 days since I planted these garlics, and I'm here to check in on them. And we can see that some have already grown, and they are even poking up above the straw that we laid down. So now I want to go in and just see how the rest of the cloves are doing. Let's try this row here. Okay. So, okay, we got 2 rows here. So as we can see, we've got garlic still coming up. All your garlic cloves are not gonna necessarily come in at exactly the same time. You know, some of them were a little bit bigger, some of them, depending on the head of garlic you got, maybe some cloves were already sprouting, maybe some weren't. So they might come up at different rates. So all of them haven't come up. So this is the part that's gonna just, you gotta be a little bit patient, but once they break through the soil surface and they're coming in, then the growth is gonna be amazing. So this looks really good. Right here, there's like no sprout, but I can feel that there's a garlic. And as you can see, this guy just hasn't sprouted yet, but it is producing its roots. The clove is nice and firm. And when you're feeling it in the ground, if you can tug on it and it feels like it has some resistance, that's because the roots are in there and they're anchored in the soil. So I'm gonna cover these guys back up and we're gonna check back on it in a couple of weeks and we're gonna talk all about harvesting your green garlic. Here we are with our green garlic, and this is about a month since I planted these garlic cloves, and they look amazing. As you can see, these have grown quite a bit. They're about 7 to 8 inches tall, and some even taller. And remember when we did our 15-day check-in, and I was showing you that the sprouting is sort of like the longest part and the hardest part. And once they have sprouted, as you can see, they shoot up really quickly, and there's a lot of growth that happens in just 2 weeks after they've sprouted, which is good news for you because you get to use them in your cooking and you get to get that beautiful garlic flavor. Okay, so let me show you how to harvest. We want to make sure that we are harvesting about 1 inch or 2 above the level of the soil, right? The garlic is growing from the center, new leaves are forming from the center, and we want to preserve that center so that after you cut, it will continue to grow. And the really cool thing about green garlic and harvesting garlic at this stage is that you have like this continuous harvest. Like you're able to what they call cut and come again, right? So you can cut it, it'll grow back, and then you can come back again the same way that you would grow like maybe baby lettuces or baby kale or baby greens. Another important part when we're talking about harvesting is what you're gonna use to harvest. So scissors are really easy, just some kitchen scissors, and really simple. We just kind of go in. This is about a couple of inches above the soil surface. We just cut it like that, and you've got your first green garlic harvest. And we're just gonna harvest a few more Just beautiful. And as you're harvesting, definitely, harvest the bigger ones. Let the smaller ones continue to grow so they can get nice and tall. And the ones that you've cut, we'll give about 3-4 weeks for them to kind of like regenerate and grow back to this length again. And you can use this kind of like you would use chives or anything like that. It's got a really nice, fresh, light garlic flavor. In this chapter, you learned all about growing your own green garlic and how you can take a head of garlic from the grocery store, plant those individual cloves, and in 30 days, you can have fresh garlic flavor that you can use in your kitchen. Next time you're at the grocery store, grab a head of garlic, plant those cloves, and you'll be harvesting your own green garlic in about 30 days. This was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot, and see you next time.